Do you know what a diode is? It is one of the simplest types of semiconductors, and people have used it to create various functional chips, ushering humanity into a new electronic era. Let's take a look at how the diode was developed. This is a silicon atom. It has 4 electrons orbiting its nucleus in the outermost shell. Pure silicon crystal does not conduct electricity, and no current flows through it even when connected to a power source. On a microscopic level, a silicon crystal contains many silicon atoms, each sharing 1 electron with its neighbor to form covalent bonds. Thus, each silicon atom forms 4 stable covalent bonds, leaving no free electrons, so it cannot conduct electricity. At this point, scientists thought of using phosphorus atoms. Phosphorus has 5 outer electrons, 1 more than silicon, by doping silicon with phosphorus atoms through iodine implantation and similar processes. Some silicon atoms are replaced or surrounded by phosphorus atoms. 4 of phosphorus's electrons form covalent bonds with silicon, leaving 1 free electron. Encasing this material in a shell, we obtain an impurity semiconductor, and stands for negative. Because this type of semiconductor has extra free electrons. It is called an N-type semiconductor. However, an N-type semiconductor itself does not have one-way conductivity. If we apply an electric field to the right, electrons will move to the left. If we apply the field to the left, electrons move to the right. So electrons can flow in both directions, but a diode can only conduct in one direction. It blocks current in the opposite direction. To achieve this, scientists turn to boron atoms. Boron has 3 electrons in its outer shell. And by doping silicon with boron using the same process, some silicon atoms form 3 covalent bonds with boron, leaving 1 unpaired spot called a hole. Encasing this material as well, we obtain another type of impurity semiconductor. P stands for positive because it contains holes that attract electrons. From the 2 types of semiconductors, the P-type has holes and the N-type has free electrons. So what happens when they come into contact? When we join them together macroscopically, at the microscopic level, the free electrons in the N-type are attracted to the holes in the P-type. As a result, the N region loses electrons and becomes positively charged, while the P region gains electrons and becomes negatively charged. An internal electric field forms around the junction area. This region of charge is called the P-N junction. At this point, the free electrons in the N region can no longer flow into the P region. They are held back by the internal electric field. If we apply an external voltage and the external field is large enough and opposite to the internal field, electrons will flow one way from the N region to the P region. But if the external field is in the same direction as the internal field strengthens and the P-N junction widens further, preventing current flow. At this point, the diode becomes reverse biased and the diode's one-way conductivity is achieved. Electrons can only flow from the N region to the P region and not in the opposite direction. Finally, we package the entire material, mark the N side with a gray or white band, and attach 2 conductive leads. This gives us a ready-to-use diode. That's all for today's content. Thank you for watching.